Good afternoon. Welcome to Information Storage Network. In today's class, we'll be discussing about securing implementation in IP-SAN. Now, to secure the implementation in an IP-SAN, we have a protocol called as Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol. In short form, it is written as CHAP. So this Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol is the most basic authentication mechanism which is used by most or almost all the organizations. So this is the most basic security control that you can implement while configuring or securing the IP-SAN. So why is this Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol used? It is used to authenticate a user to a network resource. What does that mean is, if there is a user which is trying to access a certain resource present on the network, then securing that network is a very important task or an important mechanism or a control that needs to be implemented. So in order to secure that network, we need to implement this CHAP or this Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol. So it is implemented in two ways. That is, one is called as the one-way CHAP and the other one is called as the two-way CHAP. So in one-way CHAP, the authentication is done only on one node. It is done only on one node, whereas in a two-way authentication, the authentication is done on both the nodes, which means both the nodes which are trying to exchange information over the network have to authenticate each other. There is a certain process in the way which it is followed. We'll see both one-way CHAP authentication and two-way CHAP authentication. So let's see how it works. So you have two nodes over here. One is the initiator and the other one is the target. So initiator is going to try to access the resources that are present on the target machine. So in order to secure this network or this communication, one-way CHAP authentication is done or CHAP authentication is used. So let's see how this works. So the first step is the initiator initiates a logon to the target. So first step that is required in this one-way CHAP authentication is that a login request is sent to the target host. What is the next step then? Next, a CHAP challenge is sent to the initiator. Then once the target receives the login request by the initiator, the second step that the target does is it sends a CHAP challenge to the initiator. So what is this CHAP challenge? CHAP secrets. It is nothing but a CHAP secret, you can call it, or it is also called as a secret key. So this secret key is usually a random secret of 12 to 128 characters. So this CHAP challenge is nothing but a sequence of characters which ranges from 12 to 128 characters, right? So this is called as a CHAP challenge, which is sent from target to initiator. The next step is it takes this shared secret, calculates the value using a one-way hash function. So this secret is never exchanged directly over the communication channel. So when this challenge is sent to the initiator receives this shared secret key which is of 12 to 128 characters, and it calculates its value using a one-way hash function, right? So the secret key which is shared by the target to the initiator, it is encrypted using a one-way hash function. Say for example an MD5 function. An MD5 algorithm is used which transforms data in such a way that the result is unique and it cannot be changed back to its original form. So once the secret key is shared and the hash value is calculated, the initiator returns the hash value to the target, right? This is the next step. The fifth step, it computes the target. When it receives the hash value, it computes the expected hash value from the shared secret. It compares the value which is received from the initiator, right? So when if the value matches, then authentication is acknowledged, right? So if value matches, authentication is acknowledged, which means that the initiator has authenticated itself to the target, stating that it is an authenticate host which is trying to access resources from the target over a network. So this is how one-way chat authentication occurs. The next one is two-way chat authentication. So the same steps that we have seen in one-way chat authentication occur in two-way chat authentication, but the only difference is authentication happens at both initiator and target, right? So the authentication happens at both initiator and target. The same steps are there. What we have seen in one-way chat, the same steps will occur. Like for example, initiator will first log in to the target. So when login happens, a chat challenge is sent. A chat challenge is nothing but a secret key which is shared between the two nodes. Then the shared value is taken and it is encrypted using a hash function. Here in this case, an MD5 algorithm is used to encrypt it. Then hash value is returned to the target. Then compares the hash value. If the hash value matches, authentication is acknowledged. The same thing is done by the initiator. In the previous slide, you have seen that the chat challenge is sent by the target to the initiator. Here, the chat challenge is also sent by the initiator to the target. Next, the same process is done at both the ends. Here, the encryption is done at the target end and not at the initiator end. Then the target sends the hash value to the initiator. So comparison of the values is done. If the values match, then authentication is acknowledged. So in one-way chat authentication, the authentication is performed only by one node present in the exchange process. Whereas in two-way chat authentication, the authentication process is performed by both the hosts present in the or involved in the exchange of information. So this is one-way chat authentication and two-way chat authentication. So we'll start off with the next topic. It is called as managing the storage infrastructure. Now what do you mean by a storage infrastructure? Let's find out about that first. This is your storage infrastructure. These are all the different things, or you can say these are all the different types of resources which are available in the infrastructure. Storage infrastructure refers to your SAN, storage area network. These are all the different things present in your storage area network. What do you have? We have client, then we have the network, then we have a cluster of hosts. A cluster refers to a group of hosts. Then we have switches, then we have storage arrays with HBAs attached to them. Each of these ports or each of these storage arrays have ports attached to them. So these client can communicate with the storage array with the help of servers via the switches, right? The client uses a network which connect to the hosts or the servers which have certain applications present in them, and using the switches, the servers can communicate with the storage arrays. So this is your IP or IP SAN infrastructure. So you need to monitor it. Now what is meant by monitoring? The big question is, why do we need to monitor this infrastructure that we have? So what does monitoring help us to do? It helps us to analyze the status and utilization of various storage infrastructure components. So you have these different types of components present inside your infrastructure. So monitoring helps us to analyze the status and utilization. Now what do you mean by status and utilization? Status refers to whether any one of those components is alive or whether it is crashed. Alright, we need to check the status, whether the servers are up or whether they are down, whether any of the switches are running or not, whether any of the ports which are present in the storage array, whether they are present or not. Is the network up or not? Is the network properly running or not? This is what is called as monitoring the status. What is meant by utilization? What is meant by utilization? Now we need to check whether all the components in the storage infrastructure are utilized or not, whether each of them has been utilized or not, or used or not. Say for example, there are two switches present over here, switch 1 and switch 2. Alright, we need to find out whether both the switch are actually necessary for exchange of information or only one switch is enough. Now there are 4 ports which are present on the storage array, whether all the 4 ports are required or only 2 are enough. So this is talking about the cluster, where it is a cluster of hosts, servers and application, whether both the servers are required or only one is enough to perform the exchange of information. So this is what is meant by utilization and status. Monitoring the status and utilization of resources is necessary. So this is going to give the administrator an idea about how the infrastructure can be maintained. How the infrastructure can be maintained. So this analysis actually helps us to understand, or it facilitates the optimal use of resources and proactive management. The resources that are available in the infrastructure, they have to be used optimally. Alright, optimal utilization of these resources has to be done. So what does this help? This helps us to monitor the accessibility, capacity, performance and security. So these are the 4 parameters on which the monitoring of these resources have to be done. Monitoring based on accessibility, monitoring based on capacity, monitoring based on performance and also on security. See, these are the most important 4 parameters on which monitoring of the storage infrastructure is done. So we'll discuss each of those parameters one by one. The first parameter that is monitor is called as accessibility. What is meant by accessibility? You should be able to access any of those resources at any given time. You should be able, which means that the host or the node that you are trying to access, it has to be available all the time. It has to be available all the time so that the resources can be accessed. So accessibility refers to the availability of a component to perform a desired operation. Say you are performing an input-output operation with respect to a certain storage array present in the infrastructure, which means, so accessibility refers that storage array for which you are performing the input-output operation has to be available 24/7. So why do we need to monitor the accessibility of different components? First of all, if there is any failure of hardware or software component, then accessibility will be hampered. Say for example, you are running an operating system on your desktop or laptop. This is just an example. If you are running some software or an operating system on your laptop or desktop, if the operating system crashes, then your laptop will be unavailable. Your laptop becomes inaccessible. This is what it means. And again, you have certain different ports available on your laptop or desktop. You have the USB port, you have the VGA port, HDMI port, you have the CD drive slot. If any of these ports fail, which means that it is a hardware fail, then again you won't be able to access your machine or your laptop, desktop properly. So monitoring of all these components is very necessary. Next one, monitoring the capacity. Capacity refers to the amount of storage space that is available in that storage infrastructure. If you recall that previous slide where storage arrays were present, so those storage arrays come with a certain capacity. Say for example 5 TB. So we need to check, or the administrator always has to check whether the storage array has certain space left in it or is it already full. If that storage array is already full, if we try to add some more data into it, then it may crash. It so happens with the C drive which is present on your computer. if the C drive goes on filling completely, then there is a possibility that your hard disk may crash. If it's a 500 GB or 1 TB hard disk, it is very necessary for you to always keep on monitoring it so that you prevent it from crashing or failing. So this is what actually happens over here. The same thing happens over here. If there is inadequate capacity, it may lead to degraded performance or affect the application service availability. You may have encountered a situation where your C drive is getting full. When your C drive gets full, your laptop becomes slow. Laptop or your desktop becomes very slow. So this is called as degraded performance. This is exactly what is called as degraded performance. So capacity also needs to be monitored when it comes to storage infrastructure. The next parameter that to be monitored is performance. Now performance refers to how efficiently different storage infrastructure components are performing and helps to identify bottlenecks. Performance refers to the input-output operations, the speed at which the input-output operation is performed. That is what is called as performance. Like for example, if you want to monitor the performance of your computer, so how will you monitor the performance of your computer? How will you say that your computer is fast or your computer is slow? Say for example, you are trying to copy a certain file of say size 1 GB, So the speed at which the file is copied into your computer, it determines the performance of your computer. Or say for example, you are trying to, if you want to monitor the performance of the broadband connection that you have. So the download speed, the speed at which a certain file is getting downloaded, that is called as the performance. That is called as a performance. So performance monitoring usually measures and it analyzes behavior in terms of response time or the ability to perform at a certain predefined level. You want the performance of your system or your SAN infrastructure to be very optimum. It has to be at a certain level where it can perform properly. You don't want your IP infrastructure or SAN infrastructure to perform very slowly. If it performs very slowly, then the client which is trying to access some data which is present in the storage array, then probably the access will be slower if the performance is not good. That is why the performance need to be monitored. So some examples are given here. Number of input-output operations that are performed to the disk, then application response time, the time how fast an application responds. Let's say in your computer you're trying to open an application, if it is taking a lot of time, then the performance is definitely degraded. Okay. Then network utilization and server CPU utilization. The next and one of the most important, you can say that the parameter that need to be monitored, it is called as security. It is called as security. So why do we need to monitor the security? You have a certain network and you have certain components or different types of components present in your IP infrastructure. So why do we need to provide security? We need, first thing is, consider that you have certain confidential data present on your storage array or on your servers. We need to prevent unauthorized users from accessing that confidential data. Say for example, financial institutions. Confidential data with respect to all the people of a bank is a confidential data. We need to prevent any kind of hacker or a threat agent, to be more specific, to gain access to it. So this monitoring the security helps us to protect the confidentiality, integrity and availability of data. Alright, and it is also used to meet the regulatory compliance. So to protect the confidentiality, integrity and availability of confidential data or the data which is present on the storage arrays or on the servers, so to protect all of that, we need to implement security measures. So we need to monitor. Say for example, you have all of you install antivirus in your computer. Why do we do that? So we do that to prevent virus from getting into a computer. We need to constantly monitor it. Now what does monitoring that antivirus refer to? We need to update the antivirus database every time. Alright, say for example you have a license of 1 year. So before that license expires, you need to renew that antivirus. So this is called as monitoring the security of your computer. Similarly, the same things apply over here. There is antivirus, I mean not antivirus, there is firewall, then there are so many other different security controls which are installed or which are used to secure that storage infrastructure. So monitoring them time to time is really critical, because if the storage control fails, then hackers, it will be very easy for the hackers to gain access. Now we have seen what are the different parameters on which monitoring of the security is done: accessibility, performance, security, and all those things, and capacity. So let's see how all the different components are being monitored. What are the different components present inside an IP infrastructure or a SAN infrastructure? Hosts, networks, and storage. Hosts, network, and storage. So these are the components that need to be monitored based on all the 4 parameters that we have seen previously or in the previous slide. So all the hosts or all the components have to be monitored on accessibility, capacity, performance, and security. So all these 4 parameters apply for each and every component present in the storage infrastructure. Alright, so talking about host, we have to monitor this host with respect to accessibility. So accessibility, if it is not monitored, then hardware and software components can fail. So what are the hardware components present inside a host? We have HBA, then we have the NIC, graphic card, and internal disks. So these are all the hardware components present inside a host. Monitoring them is very critical. We need to check whether the host bus adapter is properly working or not, whether all the different ports present inside the host or which are attached to the host are properly working or not. Then also we have a graphics card and we have an internal disk. So all these things need to be monitored. Next one is capacity, file system utilization, database, and user quota. So all these are parameters on which the capacity of the host is monitored. File system utilization, how much data or how much capacity, say for example you have 5 TB of capacity present inside this host, 4 TB is already utilized. That is what is called as file system utilization. If you talk about a computer, it is the C drive where your entire file system is present. Windows file system is present. So monitor the capacity of that C drive is very important, because if the C drive starts getting full, then you may experience some performance degradation. Next is performance. We need to monitor CPU and memory utilization and transaction of response times. Alright, CPU and memory utilization has to be monitored. If you have a RAM of lower capacity, say you have 2 GB RAM, and if you are trying to run a high-end softwares on that at the same time, then the CPU and memory, CPU performance will degrade. Then probably you may have to upgrade to 8 GB RAM if you want to run high-end applications simultaneously. Security, login and authorization, and physical security. If you want to, there are 2 types of security that can be implemented. First is by providing login and authorization, that is by providing username and password. Then physical security can be also be provided to the data center or to the host. So this was about monitoring hosts. Monitoring the SAN. This is what is called as SAN. You have multiple switches connected to each other, that is called as a storage area network, and to all these switches there are different components attached which communicate with each other. So what is meant by accessibility? So when you talk about storage area network, there is also something called as a fabric. There's something called as a fabric which we have discussed in the previous lectures. So then accessibility refers to we need to monitor the following things: errors in the fabric, errors in the zone, then device status, attribute change, processor cards, fans, power supplies. All these things need to be monitored with respect to accessibility. So physical components of a storage network include elements such as switches, then there are ports, cables are also there, power supply also need to be monitored, then logical components are there which are called as zones and fabrics. So any failure in this physical or logical components it will cause data unavailability. If there is any failure, say for example even a simple cable gets cut or it gets damaged, then you will not be able to access any of that data properly. You have an Ethernet cable connected to your broadband connection, and that in turn is connected to your computer. Say the Ethernet cable gets damaged, then will you be able to access internet? No, you won't be. So this is just a simple failure, but it causes data unavailability. The same thing applies here. Then the next is capacity. Capacity monitoring involves monitoring the availability of ports on a switch. Now each switch has a number of ports present on it. So we need to understand, or we need to monitor individual ports. We need to monitor the individual ports and whether they are available or not. Whether they are available or not, which means that whether they are up and running or not. So capacity monitoring requires or provides all the required inputs for future planning and optimization of the fabric with additional interconnect devices. So this was about performance. Next one is security. So security can be done with the help of zoning and LUN masking. We have seen what is meant by zoning, which is called as logical partitioning of all the hosts or all the components present in the infrastructure, and also it can be done with the help of LUN masking. Then some administrative tasks and physical security can be provided, say for example authorized access and strict passwords. If anyone wants to access this particular network or this fabric, then it can be done with the help of username and password. Next one, monitoring storage arrays. We have seen monitoring hosts, monitoring the SAN, and the next component that is there, it is called as storage array. Accessibility. Now when you talk about storage array, it consists of RAID levels, or it consists of RAID arrays, redundant array of independent disks. So they are nothing but a collection of hard disks. So it includes all the hardware components. First one, RAID processes, environmental sensors and replication process. So these are all the operations that are performed inside a storage array. All the hardware components, like for example it has a RAID, redundant array of independent disks. Then we have all the processes associated with RAID, and we can also have a replication process. Replication, because we require backup and recovery. We require a backup storage array to monitor the replication process. The next one is capacity. So the capacity can be configured or unconfigured. So the failures, capacity monitoring of a storage array, what does it help? It enables the administrator to respond to storage needs as they occur. Right, say for example, there are several RAID arrays present inside this storage array. Say for example, there are 10 RAID arrays present in this storage array, 9 of them are full. 9 of those RAID arrays are full. Then instead of waiting for the 10th RAID array to get full, the administrator may add more and more disks or hard drives to that storage array before the storage array crashes. Next one is performance. So the IO profile, response time, so all this refers to the performance. Security, it can be physical and administrative security. Next one, accessibility monitoring example. We'll see what happens when an array port fails. Okay, so these are storage arrays. Then as you can see, in this implementation there are 3 servers, H1, H2 and H3. All the servers are configured with 2 host bus adapters. Each of those servers, H1, H2, H3, each of them have 2 HBAs, host bus adapters. What is going to happen if one of the ports fail, array port? Right, so all these servers are connected through 2 switches, SW1 and SW2, and they are connected to the storage arrays with the help of those ports. So if one of the storage array port fails, all the storage volumes that were accessed through the switch connected to that port will become unavailable, like this. See, one port fails over here. Okay, so as you can see, there is a port failure which is happening on the storage array, and all the 3 servers, H1, H2, H3, are trying to access that storage array through switch 1. they are trying to access the storage array through switch 1. So access will be not available. Data availability will happen over there. Data will not be available from the storage array to all the 3 servers. So in such a case, the data is redirected through switch 2, SW2. The servers continue data access through another switch which is present over there, SW2. Alright. So this was about accessibility monitoring example where array port failure happens. So in the next class, we will be discussing about what happens if the HBA fails, host bus adapter. You can see there are 3 servers, H1, H2, H3, and there are host bus adapters present. So what is going to happen if those host bus adapters fail? So we will continue in the next class. Thank you very much.